Hi there, Taurus. Welcome to your mid-July 2025 tarot update. It's Raina here. I just want to say something really kind of funny, maybe not so funny, but I actually recorded your reading yesterday. I filmed it, and my phone, I have multiple phones that I use for recording typically. It's kind of messed up. It's probably just a little water making it act up until it dries out, and I didn't want to wait for the phone to dry out. But then when I came to my table, I saw that all the cards that I had picked were still there, so I was just going to do the reading like that, but then I absentmindedly scooped up the cards. So I thought, okay, I'll do a fresh reading, because it was a Taurus person who once said to me that I was being shady because I didn't show myself putting down the cards on the table. So I always am kind of amused thinking of that person, that Taurus person, because Taurus, being an earth sign, wants the proof of things, and they want that visual proof. So I guess all's well that ends well, right? Okay. But one of the cards in that other spread, if you're curious, was the Two of Cups, which can be a card of reunion or commitment. So that might be relevant to some of you. And another thing that I wanted to mention, because I do see proof of that. I get, like, because I have Taurus rising, so I'm ruled by Venus. That's the only explanation I have, but it seems like when I do these general forecasts that love is often a theme, and I actually have a second channel that I am devoting to love tarot readings. Maybe not 100%. It's kind of in developmental stages. This has been a year-long thing that I have been doing kind of sporadically. And so I do have a reading specifically for Taurus people who are in relationships or who have broken up with someone. And that is on my second channel, which is called Tarot Alchemy with Rain and Moon. So you can head there and see that July reading if that applies to you and you're interested. So anyway, but sometimes when I do these general readings, I get certain cards that I think of in terms of love. But this, it doesn't have to be, because the Lover's card can actually be a choice. The heart of the matter is the Three of Pentacles. Pentacles, and I did get, for the past position, I got a Pentacles card. These are, Pentacles are connected to earth signs, like you, Taurus. And the reason that this is important is because not only can this be about an earth sign, so besides you, there is Virgo and Capricorn individuals, but it also has to do with practical matters, like work matters or money matters. This is actually a good money card. This is a card that is connected to teamwork. So collaboration versus going it alone, I suppose, is either indicated, or maybe, you need to consider it in the future sometime, that might be the answer to a concern of yours that has to do with your business or whatever, endeavors are going on here. Now, but like with love matters, sometimes it can be like a third party. When you see threes and you're reading it as relationships, it can be that there is like an extra person in the mix. And there was something else I wanted to say about that, but I can't think of it right off. In the past position, we have the Five of Pentacles. This is a card of lack consciousness. So if I were just to give an example of these two cards, a Taurus person who gets into, who starts seeing a married individual or somebody who has a primary relationship because they feel they're coming from this position of lack in terms of their emotional life or whatever, where they feel like they need somebody in their life and they're not being choosy. Sorry about the the train. It's rush hour, so there's a lot of trains going by. So that kind of thing can be like lowering your standards in terms of like, that you would do that. Now, I think when I have mentioned a scenario with infidelity before, I've had people that were Taurus like, oh, like they just like let me have it because they're like very, very faithful or something like that. So just keep in mind, I'm not saying that this is something that the average Taurus person would do, but sometimes people are vulnerable. But this is, if we look at this card, what it typically can mean is lack consciousness in terms of finances. So it can be poverty consciousness. Now, the Three of Pentacles can be very good for money because 3 is a number of expansion. So maybe that is expressed energetically through you being more able to see that there is more to life than just what we experience in the five senses, that our attitude really dictates a lot. So when it comes to money, it's not just about, okay, make sure you're budgeting, make sure you're doing this, but there's something like in terms of our vibration, in terms of our attitude that can attract money as well. And maybe you're realizing that. But I would say that this, to me, it seems like relationships could be really at the forefront here. Also, I was talking about like infidelity, but what I actually meant was if you're the one, maybe you fell in love with someone and they never told you that they had a significant other and you found out on your own, or they told you after the fact, after you were like in too deep. And so now you're like, okay, now what? You don't know how to handle this. The higher message is the Lover's card, which is a card of having to make a choice. This is a card of Gemini. It's connected to Gemini, which is probably why it's a choice. And the number 6, it's numbered 6, is connected to Venus, which makes sense when we're talking about love and things like that. It's certainly your ruler. But as the higher message, it's more like the spiritual message. What is the spiritual message in all of this? And if you're dealing with someone and maybe it's not even anything to do, I won't even like narrow it down to a 3-party situation. Let's just talk about, I just have to say that though, because I think that there could be something like that, because it is the central theme. But let's just talk about this idea of forming some kind of partnership with someone that is on an even playing ground, or that is where you and that person really are on the same page and you have the same goals. To get something like that, you have to be willing to let go of what the Five of Pentacles represents. And the Lover's card suggests that it is intimacy that could be making or breaking this. Now, I see it two ways with intimacy. First of all, I think of Taurus as a lusty sign, which means that, and you might even have inner planets in Aries. Like Mars in Aries, Mars is the libido, and if it's in Aries, it's like, whoa, turbocharged. So, because you can be swayed by sexual desire, maybe that's the thing that really stands out to you. Pardon the in your when you meet someone, the physical attraction just really takes over. That can indicate that you might make wrong decisions because you're like looking for the wrong things, and it's not, and maybe even confusing sexual intimacy with emotional intimacy. For other people, it can be that you do not give of yourself emotionally, and it might be because you're confusing it with, physical intimacy, and that leads to more shallow relationships that don't really go anywhere. So I guess it doesn't really matter if there's a third party, but I did want to point that out because that's the central card, is that there was number 3. And this kind of goes along with it. What crosses you is the Judgment card. This is the card of having good judgment. Does good judgment go out the window when you meet someone if you're just focused on your physical attraction to them, how they look to you, or how they behave, if it's in a way that kind of like strokes your ego, but doesn't really, represent good character, or other positive traits, a person like that who's kind of phony and really maybe they're trying to get something out of it. That can happen as well. Oh boy, I think I hear the revving up of the lawn mowers. That's always like a fearful sound. What's coming in is the King of Swords. This is a card of utter detachment. But you know what? The Judgment card and the King of Swords both speak to possible legal matters. I would say with the Judgment card that maybe it is delayed. We are having a Mercury retrograde. That is, this reading is until the middle of the month. I think that the Mercury retrograde is right after that, but it goes until August. Actually, we're in the pre-shadow period, and the post-shadow period doesn't end until the last week in August. So we're under a Mercury retrograde right now, influence. And so maybe any kind of decisions or, judgments are going to be delayed to a certain degree. But also on your end, that you might have to make a decision, like I said with the Lover's card, and you cannot allow sentimentality or anything to kind of pull you that might sway you. And who knows, maybe there's another person who's trying to manipulate you into not making a decision that is best for you. And you have to be kind of that rock. And Taurus can be very detached. You're an earth sign, you're kind of dry. I mean, of course, your moon sign might be Pisces, might be something very emotional. So it all depends. That's what's so amazing about the chart, is that it has all these layers to it. The outcome is the Strength card, and this is, I feel you're going to have something come up in your life that makes you feel that you are not only like surviving something, but you're thriving from it. Because the Strength card can indicate that a person has been through the ringer, but, it can indicate that they are coming out the other end and doing much better. And I think it's also about building your self-respect, building your dignity. So if somebody is trying to, I don't know, play you or whatever you want to call it, you might be like, whatever, you're not going to fall for that. Okay, Taurus, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, be it astrology, tarot, or both, you can check the link below for more information on my services. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.